Emergency video! Sound the alarm! Woo, 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 woo. There probably won't actually be an alarm. I need to kind of get this out quickly because I'm trying to beat the other content creators who are doing this before me. So what's the big deal, huh? What's all the hullabaloo, all the jibber jabber, all the rick racket, right? What's the point of this video? And if you don't know, that's crazy. But girl, let me fill you in on the tea. Basically, the Commander Ban List Committee actually did something for once, and people are having mixed reactions. I woke up this morning to the usual things I wake up to: construction around the house, birds chirping, midday sun because I wake up really late, a stiffy. But you know what I didn't expect to wake up to this morning? An announcement saying that these 4 cards are banned, gone, ban hammer, hit 'em, done in Commander. Now, how do I feel about the matter? Honestly, I love it. I love it for 2 reasons. The first of which being, I don't play these cards, so it really does not affect me that much. And the second of which being, I'm just happy the Commander ban list actually did something. Up until this point, I thought they were just a myth. You know, like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot, you heard about them, but you never actually really knew if they were there, you know? You know in some movies or TV shows where they'll be having a party and then like the teacher, the boss walks in, and then all the tables flip over and the things flip and then it looks like they're doing work. That's what I thought the Commander ban list committee was. Just people who sat around doing nothing, drinking, cashing in paychecks. I don't know if they get paid, but then the moment someone from Wizards came in, they just flipped all the whiteboards, turned over the tables, and they're like, huh, should we ban Soul Ring? And then they go, ha, good work, and then they close the door and they just get right back to doing fuck all. But they actually did something today, and for better or for worse, I like that. I like to know that they actually do things. Now, to be fair, I'm also not that kept up on a lot of things, so they might be making a lot of little announcements and stuff that I just don't know about, but nothing as big as this has happened in a really long time. Now, there's 2 facets in Commander this is gonna really fuck over. The first one and main one being CDH. Logistically, I really don't think it's gonna be that impactful. Realistically, people who go to play CDH and it already feels kind of like a separate format is just gonna say, hey, we just allow these cards, and they're gonna be like, alright, who cares? And additionally, Wizards also might make an announcement saying CDH, if you're running CEDH specifically, this does not apply. Have a separate CEDH ban list. I would fuck with that too. But for the most part, I really don't think it's going to affect CDH all too much in terms of logistically. They're probably just going to play as if these cards aren't banned. But if it does, they don't, and like people are genuinely like, no, these cards are banned, we're not playing with them, it's going to screw over a lot of things. And keep in mind, I have a CDH deck and a handful that I want to make because I do really enjoy CDH. And I have a red Berkey deck, and trust me, 3 of the 4 cards are in there, and it's really going to screw it over, especially other decks that combo off with Dockside. Mine doesn't, but I have a friend who has a Corvold deck, and I think Lua Stardust, I really hope that's her name, I'm not fucking up, from Scrybabies, has a Corvold deck. Dockside combos in it too. It's going to fuck over a lot of red decks, but I really think that we have to look at this in terms of how these cards are applicable to casual, right? Because I feel like you can't have both opinions and not kind of see the dichotomy of it all, I guess. I don't know if that phrase is applicable, I just wanted to sound smart. But what I mean is, if these cards are so powerful that in CEDH, their absence is gonna be of no, people are like, shit, these are really powerful cards, and not being able to put them in my deck is really gonna mess things up. If they're that powerful for a competitive format, their absence is noted, I feel like no one can be surprised that in a casual format, people don't want those cards in there, right? You can't have it both ways. You can't have cards that are so powerful that they're not breaking, but their absence is screwing over CDH, but still not powerful enough that if someone plays it casually that you're not allowed to get upset. No, I think it's very valid that people don't want these high power cards in casual Commander. And I know a lot of people, and I know part of my audience, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, I think just, power levels, babies, rule 0, yada, yada, yada. But realistically, I think most casual people don't really care for those cards. I think we all have that experience. We're just playing a nice casual game, and then someone plays a Mana Crypt, and your first thought is, oh, is their whole deck going to be high-powered? Should I have grabbed a more high-powered deck? Even if you enjoy playing high-powered as well, when you're trying to play casual, these cards can really throw a wrench into things. I've had turn 1 Plains, Jeweled Lotus, Grand Arbiter, have fun playing the rest of the game. And while I understand that some people are going to say this is a Rule 0 conversation, I think the general consensus of the average Magic player is going to be, I would just rather not see these cards at all, and we don't have to have a Rule 0 about should we let these cards be played. It's a lot easier, whether you like it or not, it is objectively easier to deal with if they're just not in it, right? Whether you want Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt in casual or don't, it's a lot easier to just be like, okay, they're not in it, that sucks, whatever, than to have a Rule 0 conversation before every game, like, hey, I still play Mana Crypt, is that okay? Yada, yada, yada. Now, is this a very casual mindset? Yeah. It is, but this might surprise a lot of you out there. The majority of Magic players play casual. They just do. That's crazy, right? That most Magic players play casually? Who would have thunk that? You know what's funny? I see Magic a lot in the same ways that I see Dark Souls. One of my favorite YouTubers slash comedians, Summer Albano, made a point where in Dark Souls, it feels like it's the top 1% of Dark Souls players who shit on the bottom on the top 2%, right? You can beat Elden Ring and the DLC and struggle, and like the top players will be like, dude, you're so trash, right? Now that's not everybody. It was just a fun comedic bit, but that's how I feel about Magic sometimes. There's like those top people who are like, oh, I love making, super, even if they're not CDH, I love making super efficient decks, cards with mana crypt and stuff in it, and if you don't like it, you're a bunch of babies. And it's like, I play really high-powered casual decks too. I like making decks that are efficient, win quickly, even if it's not on turn 1, and I still don't like these cards. But it's those top people who own Mana Crypts, Jeweled Lotus Docksides, and play them regularly who are looking down at the bottom 95% of Magic thinking that we're the minority. We're not. Most people don't enjoy those cards. And why? Because they're expensive as fuck. That's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons. That's why I know that most people will not care about this ban, because most people didn't play Dockside anyways. Most people didn't play Jeweled Lotus. Most people didn't play Mana Crypt because they're expensive. One, it's not worth it, especially if you like playing casual. It's not worth it to spend a huge, probably a deck's worth, a whole deck of cards would probably be equal to one Mana Crypt. It's not worth it to power up your deck when you don't even want to power it up that high. So I think that for the average person, they either don't care about this ban list because they didn't play it, they like it because they don't like seeing those cards, or they just don't give a shit either way. And then it's about 10% of people who are really upset in casual, not talking about CDH, like 10% who have these cards, who like to regularly play these cards, who are like, how was no one else upset about this? Because most people play casual. We could also talk about Soing not being banned as well. No one ever thought Soing was going to be banned. It's kind of too big to be banned now. It'd make about 95% of decks immediately illegal, so it's not really worth the headache. But I think they kind of made a point saying it's strong enough to be banned, and based off the demographic or the restrictions, the rules, whatever, that we gave for the other cards to be banned, Soing fits that description, but we just can't ban it right now, and that's okay. We can't win them all. Would I like Soing to be banned? I mean, sure. Now, for those people who are upset about value-wise those cards, I actually do 100% feel with you. Literally, a friend of mine today just said that he lost about $1,000 worth of cards that are no longer playable in Commander, and I do feel bad for him. Like, that's tough, honestly. Like, that sucks. I would hate to be in that position. That's why I'm grateful I don't own any of those cards. But I do get people being upset. Now, obviously, you can try to say that that's just kind of the way the market goes. We've all had that feeling of buying an expensive cards only for a week later. They'd be like, hey, guess what we're reprinting? And you're looking at your phone going, fuck, I just bought you. I get it, but it's just not the same, as having you basically just got a text saying like, hey, guess how much money you no longer have worth of cards today? And you just have to be like, oh, well, that sucks. Hence why I hope they make a statement saying CDH might be considered as its own separate format, so that people who do run these cards and want to run them in high-powered decks still can, and they don't have to feel like they lost money. Sure, if they have them in more casual decks, that sucks, but the hurt won't be as bad. Now, for all the people who are very casual, who do agree with what I'm saying, and the people who aren't, who might want a little bit more context, I think we've all had bad experience with all of these cards, especially if you're a more casual player, right? We've all been like, oh, you're playing a Dockside and you're going to combo off. It's turn 5. I mean, that's cool. Now, I'm going to trump a couple points that I know people are going to make, whether in the comments or you might just hear in other videos that I think aren't valid points, and I'm going to put it into them right meow. The first of which being removals and counters exist. I understand that. I do. If someone plays a Mana Crypt, I can remove it. If it's turn 1, I play Forest, they play a Mountain, Mana Crypt, I can immediately tap that Nature's Claim, destroy the Mana Crypt, but that's not how I want to, invest my mana in. I know we've already talked a little bit about Rule 0, but I go over it. Rule 0 really for me is about 10 seconds. Like, hey, how sweat are we getting? That's it. You want to play with proxies? I don't care. It's not worth the conversation. You want to play with fucking custom cards? I don't care. Not worth the conversation. I just want to get playing. And I think that having this idea of, oh, we can just Rule 0 these cards is just going to be a bigger headache than it is anything else. Just, even if I did play these cards, I would still be like, they're banned. That sucks. I'm not going to try to push them into every single deck because I refuse to change with the format that I love to play. Now, it sucks, sure, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. If my favorite card was just banned today, it would suck, but I'd be like, hey, I guess I can't play it anymore. I'm not going to try to be like, hey, can I still play this card in all of my pods? Because they're going to probably say yes because they feel obligated to, but realistically, they're going to be like, well, We don't play those cards because they're banned. I don't think it's fair for you to try to be like, hey, but can I play them though? Like, we can still play them. Let's all try to play them. They're banned. It sucks until they get unbanned, which I honestly think they might, because Wizards are kind of pushovers sometimes with that kind of stuff. I think that they might immediately get backlash and they're just like, never mind, they're not banned. Carry on with your day. It was just a test. Additionally, proxying, I think a lot of people are going to say, well, it doesn't matter that the price range was so high because you could proxy it. A lot of people, even who do proxy, would rather not have to than have to, even if you do have no problems in proxying. My play group doesn't mind if I proxied. A lot of this deck, this is like a 12-cent card. This is just right in front of me. It's fucking proxied. But I would rather not proxy than proxy. I mean, if you ask me, hey, would you rather have a deck full of real cards or not real cards, I'd say, give me the deck full of real cards. So even though you have the ability to proxy these powerful cards, I also do agree and like what Wizards is kind of saying of like, these cards, not only they're powerful, they're super fucking expensive, and we're just going to ban them outright because it's not very fun having people be like, oh, you just played this expensive card that I can never afford, and I don't want to proxy it into my deck, even if I have the ability to. The ability to be able to proxy it in the deck doesn't make up for the justification that I shouldn't have to, you know what I mean? Now, in terms of fast mana, which I think a lot of the pushback is going to be on, I think there's a lot of very, very bad talking points when it comes to it that I think are just very easily squashed. So whenever you say, I don't like fast mana like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal, stuff like that, they're going to say, oh, well, should we ban Dark Ritual? And it's like, you have to understand those are obviously different, right? One's a one-time ritual in a specific color. The other ones, depending on what it is, could be used in any deck with no cost and can be used multiple times if it's a Crypt or a Soul Ring. There's no way you can look at me and be like, these are the same. If you want to ban, Mana Crypt, a $200 card that pays 0, taps for 2 every turn, then you should also want to ban Pyretic Ritual because it costs 2 red mana and it makes 3. They're not the same. I saw a comment once, and I'm not shitting you about this. They seem so genuine. The comment was, Magic players, when Soul Ring gives them mana, and there was like an upset face, and then also Magic players, when Cultivate gives them mana. There's no way people think that these are the fucking same. They're not. I've never been upset when someone plays a Pyretic Ritual. I've been pretty upset when someone plays a Mana Crypt, but that's because they told me it was a slightly upgraded Pericon. Pat, I'm looking at you. Additionally, another talking point I know people are going to use that I've always disliked is the idea that we can self-sustain or self-regulate these types of situations that happen in games, right? Basically meaning that if someone plays Plains, Jeweled Lotus, their commander, there's 3 other people at the table who can help just kind of limit the advantage that they just got. That's why they're not that powerful. You know, if I play turn 1, I think Josh Lee Kwai in the Command Zone loves to use this statistic that if you play Soul Ring, you're actually less likely to win games. Therefore, Soul Ring isn't that bad. But I think a lot of people are missing the bigger picture that people who don't like these cards are trying to say. We're not saying that we don't like these cards just because you have the ability to run off with the game and, immediately win on a handful of turns, or it's just going to be an uphill battle from there, whether you win or lose. It's a fact that regardless of if this player wins because they have a lot of value or loses because we all gang up on him, a singular card completely shifts the way that we have to play the game. And that's what we personally don't like. I understand that if you play turn 1 Soul Ring, we can all gang up on you. Make sure to get rid of your resources. Someone says, I can get rid of the Soul Ring, I can get rid of the Arcane Statement, he played with it. Or if you're turn 5 in, be like, oh, I can board wipe him, I can do this. We don't like having to completely shift the dynamic of the game purely because you played one broken card. You have to get that, right? So if someone plays Mountain, Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, sure, I don't like that they just ran away with value and they might run away with the game. I don't like that regardless of how their turn goes or how we play around it, we now have to shift the entirety of how we are playing because of one $200 card that shouldn't be in the format. That is literally so powerful that its absence in CEDH is of note. It's noteworthy. No, I don't want to play that when I barely upgraded this precon. I don't want to play against that. No one's played a Pyretic Ritual and we all have to go, dude, we have to gang up on him or he's going to win in a couple turns. No one's ever fucking said that. But have you said that about a Mana Crypt or a Soul Ring or a Jeweled Lotus? Yeah, a bunch of times. We've all had probably countless numbers of games where someone plays Plains, Jeweled Lotus into their commander, someone's like, all right, can you remove it? Can you do this? Like, whatever, because he's going to get a whole lot of value. Now, that game might not have been noteworthy. They might have lost. You might have just moved on the next one and not even thought of that, right? And I get it. It's not always going to have the biggest impact. No one's saying, hey, every time I see this card, I just have the worst day and want to cry and leave the game and scoop. No, but there's enough smaller instances of these cards drastically impacting how the game is played, that it's understandable that people are like, I just would rather not see them, right? Even if it doesn't ruin my day when I do see them, even if it's not like, oh, they played a Jeweled Lotus and a Manic Grip, what are we gonna do? I would just rather not see them because they're obviously so powerful that they are deemed ban-worthy by the people who make the fucking game. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm really circulating or circumventing around the same point, like if it just feels like I'm talking in circles. This video is made on the fly, so I'm only as articulate as how it comes off the dome. I don't have anything written down. I mean, I know my points are still valid, they just not might be orchestrated in the best and most efficient way to, give you guys this information, just because I'm making this and gonna try to post it within like the same 2 hours. So I think another point you're going to hear a lot is that without these cards, green decks are just going to flourish and become the best, color in CDH because they have the most natural ramp. Mana Crypt loss to red is a lot, probably less than a Mana Crypt loss to green. And honestly, I kind of disagree. Not that they don't have the most natural ramp, they do. They can get a lot of lands out, that's green's thing. But anyone who's been playing the game for the past, year, 2 years, knows that treasures beat out lands any fucking day of the week. Not even a competition. Like, oh, green can Sky Shroud claim into a rampant growth, and they're gonna have 9 mana on turn 5. What are we gonna do? Yeah, I have a token generation combo out that's going on right now that doesn't need Dockside, although Dockside is helpful, that is making me 18 treasures per turn. We are not the same. Literally last week, someone put a Reaver Cleaver on just like a kind of big creature that they reanimated, and I was in landfall. Could not keep up with the mana they were making. They were making so much mana per turn, could not keep up. So I do not think that green is just going to run amok in this format, because I don't think green has the best mana generation at all anymore. That went to red a long time ago. But obviously, these are just all my opinions, keep in mind, this is more of a comedy channel. That's why I'm making a lot of jokes. So try to take what I say, take it seriously, like I'm saying valid points, but also don't truly think that I'm like, fuck these cards, right? It's just for comedic effect. So, however you want to perceive me, I guess, but just know I'm telling you that I'm a jokester before I am a person who actually gives a fuck about these kinds of things. I really don't think there's anything else for me to say. I think that the Commander format is going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. I know it sucks right now for, all like 10% of you in casual. I want to keep specifying this. CDH, completely different thing. I hope they make a separate ban. Oh, this is another point I want to talk about, actually. This video is not over. I thought it was. This video is over. I hate when people say commanders shouldn't have a ban list. It's like the worst take I've ever heard, and I'll tell you why. Whenever anyone tells me commanders shouldn't have a ban list, it's a self-regulating format, it's a casual format, it shouldn't have a ban list. The first thing I say to them is, all right, let's bring all the racist cards back. Bring them back, and they'll immediately say, well, no, those should obviously ban. And I'm like, okay, so you do want a ban list then. You can't say no ban list and then be like, oh, no, but these cards are banned. And they say, oh, well, obviously I'm just talking about power-wise, power, nothing should be banned because of that. Racist cards, ban them. And I'll say, okay, I agree with that, yeah. All right, I'll put Time Walk in my deck. 2 mana, take an extra turn? Sure. And then we'll go, well, no, obviously that card should be banned. I'm like, see, the problem is that when people say there shouldn't be a ban list, that's not what they mean. They don't mean they shouldn't be a ban list. They're saying, I feel like I have better criteria for what should make a ban list in Commander than what is currently out right now. Because anyone who ever says there should be no ban list immediately by the end of the conversation goes, well, no, those cards should be banned. Obviously. The fuck you mean, obviously? You just said there should be no ban list. The obvious thing is they shouldn't be banned. But people want a ban list. It's just a matter of, and if you looked at me and said, hey, I have a better idea for criteria for what should be banned, I would be like, all right, let's hear it. I wouldn't disagree with you. I think the criteria we have now hasn't been the best because no cards have gotten banned. And whether you want more cards banned, less cards banned, if you came up to me saying, hey, I think this might be a better way that we ban cards, that we should look at cards in terms of whether they're ban worthy or not, I'd say, yeah, like I'm perfectly fine. But I think that's what you need to do. If you have a problem with the ban list, you have to be open to bringing up your own ideas because you're in the minority, right? You're the person who's wanting change. So if you're trying to push for change, you have to be prepared to have an idea of change that you want to implement. You can't just say there shouldn't be a ban list, but not have an idea for a better ban list. And if you just say flatly there shouldn't be a ban list, then you're wrong. That's dumb. I love you, but do know that is dumb. You might want to say I have a better idea for a ban list, or we should restrict these cards, and I'll hear you out. But the idea of just no ban list is crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I think the Commander format is going to be okay. I know I'm waving around this cup. There's no water in it, so I don't know what to do with it anymore. But I think the Commander format is going to be just fine in a handful of months. Most people, it probably won't even affect most people in a handful of months. The people who did have Dockside and all that in their casual decks will just move it to, their CDH deck, because I genuinely do think they're going to make a statement saying it's not applicable to CDH. But we never know. Either way, I don't know if you like my takes. I don't know if you don't like my takes. Either way, I love you. No matter what, I want you to know that. You have a good day out there. Watch my Commander video. I'm going to be posting another one next Monday. I'm going to try, so. All right. Peace out.